Welcome to the Soul of South. I'm your host, Erin Winiger, and today we are discussing the lives of Maxwell McCormick and Alyssa Newton. Maxwell, come on down, tell us your story.
How you doing, Erin?
Hi, how are you?
Doing fine.
So you're a transfer student here at South. Where did you come from originally?
Originally came from a transfer student from Jefferson Davis Community College. It's in a small town called Brewton, Alabama. And basically, when I got out of high school, I went into the workforce for a few years, kept moving up in my job, and eventually had a chance to go to the school and went there and got my core studies done there and moved on over here.
Where did you work originally?
When I was in high school, I was working part-time at a GameStop retail store, and I just kept moving up after school ended. And at one point, you just started moving up and realizing, I'm making enough money, so am I ever going to get to go to school? And eventually, some things didn't go so well. I had an unfortunate thing happen in my life where my father had passed away. And while I ended up having to move to a different part of the state where a different family were and so on, it ended up opening up a little bit of an opportunity to start back at school.
That's good. I remember you telling me something about your weight loss.
Absolutely, yes. One of the things that led to my weight loss was my father passing away. He passed away from a heart attack. He was well too overweight, pushing well into the 300-pound range. He was even type 2 diabetic at one time.
Oh, wow.
And when he had passed away, it was very sudden. Didn't expect it to happen at all. And it kind of opened up a thing in me that I needed to change myself, because I was pretty much the same route. I could have actually ended up passing away before him. I was very unhealthy. And eventually it kind of, seeped into me that I need to change. And eventually I went from, at one time, topping out at about almost 320 pounds, down now to about 230.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you.
So what steps did you take?
Well, I'm actually somebody that I don't really understand how to go about giving advice or anything, because out of doing this whole process, I've realized that everyone's body is entirely different. Not the things that I did are not necessarily the things that anyone else it'll work. It might not necessarily work for you, and it may not necessarily be the right thing for you. But I will say, for me, I kind of instilled a thing in me to basically just keep pushing. I got really into cardio, lots and lots of cardio. When it started, there was a lot of stress in my life. Part of that was because of my obesity.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, and panic attacks, stress, things seeping in. And I eventually had to figure out some outlet to get that stress out. So I would start walking up just the block a little bit. Obviously the bigger you are, it's a little harder to go a little further. So I would just walk up the block and back, just something, get myself out of the house, Because, you're sitting in class during the day, go home and sit down, not a lot of physical activity there. And it kind of grew a little bit more. I grew from going just down the block, then down to the end of the road, then down to the end of the street, eventually down to the train tracks. Oh, that's a long way back where I was at. And little did I know it, almost 2 years later, I'm making a day out of it. I'm putting an arm, one of the armbands where you can listen to music, and ended up investing in a high-quality pedometer, and I would end up going for 4-hour walks at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yes, not even stopping either. That's the part where I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I would recommend that, but yeah, it's the, I had a little bit of a time in a gym. I'm now trying to get back in a gym, because when you lose a whole lot of weight, you're not necessarily skinny. You're dealing with the flab and toning up, and that's the hard part for me right now. But yeah, it's, I tried a gym for about a year and I couldn't lose much, but eventually I found something that worked for me, which is just lots and lots of walking out in the sun, all that vitamin D, and eating lots of raw vegetables. I love spinach to death, but I'm hitting a point when I'm a little tired of it.
I don't know how you'd be tired of spinach. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a little tired of spinach. Yes.
So you are basically saying your whole entire lifestyle changed.
Yes, my whole lifestyle has changed. I'm trying to change it up a little bit now, though. I kind of plateaued in a certain way. I'm not really losing
yeah.
as much anymore, and for the first time in my life, getting a little discouraged by that, but trying to change it up and do some different things. I'm focusing less on walking and more on lifting and, different things to make the body keep guessing a little bit.
Oh yeah. So at South, what are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in dramatic arts, theater student over at the Laidlaw Building.
Have you had any type of, have you had any type of experience prior?
As far as acting, not necessarily. The thing that led me into that is I've always been aspiring to do film. I think my eventual aspiration is to direct or, any kind of get behind the camera work. I've always enjoyed being able to drive a story in that way. But over the last 2 or 3 years, I've had a couple different opportunities. One opportunity was I was able to co-produce a movie that was filmed up in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, really? What movie was it?
It was a short film. You can find it on the internet called The Devil's Hand, and played in a few theaters here in Alabama last
Oh,
year.
that's really cool.
And I did a little bit of that work, so I got a little bit of experience behind the camera. But the last 2 years at my junior college kind of turned me in a little bit of a different direction. I ended up stumbling across a different program there that they had tried to do an upstart, but it didn't work out. And they could get no students interested in it, which we called the Warhawk TV, which is like a news program.
Okay.
Did it every week for about 2 years. I loved it.
Oh, wow.
It ended up growing into just me in front of the camera doing the news, and then it grew into finding other students, doing interviews, sketch comedy type stuff. The more I was in front of the camera, the more I loved being in front of the camera. So that's where it made me kind of think, maybe I should give this a try, And if that is not necessarily where I need to be, if I'm on the other side of the camera, it'll be important to know the world on the other side of the camera.
So do you plan on doing any plays here at South, or?
Absolutely. Right now I'm actually going to be working as crew on the next 2 plays, and I'm going to be kind of sharpening my skills to see if I have any potential to be on the stage. As somebody obviously who has no experience being on a professional stage, mine kind of comes from entertaining more than it does acting. I'm going to kind of try and build on that and see what comes of it.
What led you just into the genre of film and dramatic arts?
Wow, that goes really far back. I can't even put a date on it, but I've always been obsessed with movies. This is also a little bit of a different venue for me. I don't have much experience in theater, but most of my experience comes from film. I've loved film growing up. When I was young, you'd watch a lot of like the blockbuster stuff that comes out every year, but the older I got, the more I started focusing on like indie movies and dramatic movies. And then I started looking a little further back and started getting into even movies in the 40s and 30s and 50s, and then started making it a little even more, and started doing like watching silent films and Japanese films, French movies. I just love film. I love that genre, that medium, and want to be a part of it.
Well, I hope you have a great time here at South, and
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the Soul of South. I'm your host, Erin Winiger. Now let's introduce our next guest, Alyssa Newton. Come down and tell us your story.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Doing well, doing well.
I'm so pleased. So you're from Dothan, Alabama.
Yes, ma'am. The national area of the peanut. We have peanut everything down there. Peanut capital of the world.
That sounds delicious, actually. I'm so hungry. So what all did you do in Dothan?
Well, I grew up in Dothan. I went to Dothan High School. Go Tigers. I was a part of the yearbook staff. I did a lot of the sports pictures. I was an editor my senior year. I was involved with theater, I did show choir, and so I just had a blast in high school. I was super involved.
So what brought you down here to South Alabama?
Well, I came to South and I kind of looked around. I had looked at, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, all those different schools. But I just loved how it was so small here, but yet it was still a bigger school. And I actually came for the occupational therapy program here. And so I loved the medical facilities and things like that. And so that's a big reason why I came down here.
So I hear you're really big into sports.
Oh yeah, I'm a big sports person, that's for sure. Grew up in a huge sports family. I mean, we've got everything from Tennessee fans, Alabama fans, whatever. Now we have Jag fans, and so yeah, all of my cousins and uncles and aunts and my dad, they all played sports, coached, all that kind of good stuff. And so yeah, I've been in sports my entire life.
So what do you do now here at South?
Well, now I am the sports editor for the Vanguard, which is our student newspaper. So I manage usually from like a 3 to 5 page spread. I did a website that has a lot of our pictures, and we do videos and things like that. And I have 2 awesome reporters that help me out. And so we cover 17 Division I sports, including club sports. So I stay busy, that's for sure.
So what happened from occupational therapy to news?
About that, I actually changed this past semester. I went to communication. Well, basically, I came to South Alabama and I thought, hey, I want to be an occupational therapist. I took the pre-course class, all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of started working with the Vanguard. I first started doing a little bit of reporting, doing like covering rugby and cricket and things like that. Started working with football with the then sports editor. And I was like, man, I really like this. And so I kept doing it, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And I decided one day, wake up and kind of go to something that I'll enjoy but not really love, or wake up, not make as much money but love every single second of my job. And I mean, how can you get better than that?
That's true. So you are one of the, was it female sports reporters in the state?
I'm one of the very few sports editors in the state of Alabama. There's not a lot of us, that's for sure. I mean, it's definitely a man's world whenever you come into this. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been working on the football field and some guy will come up and try to quiz me on the football players on the field, like, who is that? What position does he play? Blah, 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 blah. And my favorite thing to do is, well, that's so-and-so, he is so-and-so, and these are his stats. I just love, I enjoy it, I really do, but I just think that, this is not just a man's world. I can talk football, I can talk baseball, I can talk whatever you want, because if you are passionate about something and you care about something, you won't let other people bring you down. You won't let other people make you feel like you're this small. I've had a lot of problems with that. I mean, last year, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of thrown into the position. Our then sports editor found something else he liked a little bit better after football season, so that spring, I was just kind of thrown into the position because I didn't have anybody else. And so I started doing that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of people basically say, hey, you pretty much can't do this. And so I took it really hard at first, but after, support from family and friends, basically saying, you know what, you have the talent, you have the passion and drive to do this. And so ever since then, we've just been building and building and building, and now it's more successful than it has been in the last 5 years or so.
Wow, that's crazy. So you also do work with the Prowl, right?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely love working with the Prowl. That is our, student radio station. We're going FM super soon. Super exciting. I work with news. I'm the news director, so I work with all the directors and everything. And so I actually do a show called Sup South, and that's basically talking about what's all going on at South Alabama. We do interviews and kind of talking about organizations, what they're doing on campus. And so I do like a little hour talk show, super fun, but I'm super excited to be a part of it. I love the staff and everybody in it, and it's just been a blast so far.
That's great. I hear that we have some kind of special thing going on for the Prowl.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have College Radio Day coming up. Super exciting. We have basically a lot going on. It's going to be October 3rd, so mark your calendars. We're going to have a lot going on. I can't really give out too much too soon because we're still in the works, so there's going to be a lot of giveaways, all kinds of really cool things going on, and so make sure that you look out for all the things from the Prowl. We're on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram, I think, too, so there's going to be a lot of things coming out about College Radio Day, promoting our students and student-run organizations, and so make sure you look out for that.
I have to ask, what is your favorite sport?
Ooh, my favorite sport. Okay. Well, there's two different things. Either I love baseball. I grew up watching Braves baseball my entire life. My great granddaddy was 93 whenever he died, but he spent every single day. If there was a Braves game on, you couldn't talk to him. And so I grew up loving baseball. Chipper Jones, he started playing whenever I was born to the day I graduated, and so I was a big Chipper Braves fan. But when it comes to covering, I definitely love football. I love the atmosphere. I love being able to live tweet or talk with the players, building relationships. And so it has to be, right there at it, baseball and football. But I mean, I love all sports. I mean, there's something about every single one that either I learn something new or I find an aspect of it that's just absolutely awesome.
So do you like being on radio or do you like news? Just the newspaper more?
Ooh, that's really hard. Let's see. I really do like being on the radio. I think it's so much fun, but I think writing is definitely my strongest point. I am a broadcast journalism major, so it's a little bit difficult going from newspaper to actually on air or on the radio, but I think my heart stays with the newspaper. I love to write and things like that, but I really do enjoy, being on the radio or being in front of the camera, and I think that I think journalism in itself is just my niche, and hopefully, whatever I have to do to be able to stay in it, that I will excel in that.
What did you start out doing in the newspaper? Like, immediately start out doing before you went into sports?
I basically walked up to a guy that worked with. I was like, hey, I want to do pictures, because I did pictures in yearbook, and I was like, oh yeah, I could totally do sports pictures. And I actually did an experience article, my very first home game here at South Alabama. And so I talked about that, and so I did little tiny, stories just here and there sprinkled around, and then the then editor, Cassie Fambro, one of my favorite people in the entire world, she gave me a chance to be a copy editor. So I went from a reporter to a copy editor. I went to a left of center editor, which is a section that doesn't exist anymore. It basically did all the club sports. And then finally, last year, I got promoted to sports editor. So I have literally started from the bottom. Now I'm here. So it's been a lot of fun, though. It's been a really awesome, tough, bumpy, but really awesome journey.
So what's your favorite activity to do here at South?
There's so much to do. There's so many opportunities here at South Alabama that I absolutely love. Other than going to sporting events and things like that, JP Productions, they have so many awesome things going on. They have, movies all the time. They have screenings. They have all these really awesome events that you get to go to, a lot of things like that. I love being involved in the campus organizations. I love JAG TV is awesome. I just started with them this year. And of course, the Prowl and the newspaper. But one of my favorite things to do, this is really random, but I love just driving around campus and going to the nature trails back there, or just driving down Dauphin or driving down Government and just looking at the trees. So it's been really awesome.
Well, it looks like that's all we have time for today. Thank you for coming out here and telling us about your life. I've totally enjoyed listening to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. That's all for Soul of the South. Catch y'all next time.